Hey everybody, I'm Dave Turcotte. I'm here with John Loesche and Travis, and we're going to be doing my
Yeah,
Idiot of the Year segment. And oh boy, do I got a doozy for you! We're going
my
to the
words are
land.
back.
We're going to the land of fairy tales, and God, I fucking hate my life. Gawker.
Oh, ugh. Yeah, it makes me glad I'm no longer in university. Whew.
Yeah, but we're going on Gawker because we have a specific candidate for our Idiot of the Year. I was gonna do Gawker as a whole, but let's be honest, we'd be here till next year. And I think the
Yeah.
deadline ends a little bit before then.
hmm
So, yeah. Anyway, today my Idiot of the Year nomination is Mark Cohen, who, let's take a look at his information real quick. Michael Mark Cohen works as a professor of American Studies and African American Studies at UC Berkeley. He lives in the East Bay with his family, his garden, and his beehives. And you can find a webcast of his Intro to American Studies lectures on YouTube and his collection of socialist cartoons on cartooningcapitalism.com. Gee, this is going to be fun.
Oh, God help us all.
But the reason why we're nominating this asshole is because of a particular article he wrote on Gawker titled Douchebag, the white racial slur we've all been looking for. Now, a little warning for those of you out there who give a shit about this for some reason, I'm going to swear like a sailor because I got a lot I got to say about this guy. For a guy who's writing about douchebags, well, he sure fits the bill.
Hey,
Anyway, let's talk about this jackass. He starts
hmm
off by saying, I am a white, middle class male professor at a big public university. Oh, good start. And every year, I get up in front of 150 to 200 undergraduates in a class on the history of race in America, and I ask them about the white racial slurs. And he says the results are disappointing. Self loathing much?
hmm Yeah,
He
yes, to
says
check that white privilege, apparently.
he says first of all, everyone knows that saying anything overtly racist in front of strangers is totally taboo. Yeah, because that's called decency.
No, duh. Even I understand that.
And even so, most of these kids are not new to conversations about race. The majority of them are students of color, including loads of junior college transfer student parents, vets, and a smattering of white kids, mostly freshmen. Of course, some are just scared of speaking in front of so many people, no matter what the topic. Well, I don't know. If it's the first time they're speaking in front of people and you're asking them to shout racial slurs, I'd imagine they'd be nervous anyway.
No,
Yeah,
duh.
yeah. You don't want to look like the biggest jackass in the room at the start of the semester.
Of course, it's white racial slurs, so that's okay.
Yeah.
hmm
So I could.
And I'd also like to point out that the title of this thing, like, the one that we've all been waiting for, like, really? So, apparently, the way to combat racism is with reverse racism. Yeah, that in no way makes him look like the asshole to their rectum.
Yeah. So moving on, he says, so I cajole a few of them into cracker and redneck. I didn't realize redneck was a racial slur.
I did not know that, honestly.
I,
Yeah.
I I thought redneck just simply meant somebody who lives in the deep south and is just all around southern. I mean, I know mostly the stereotype is that they're white, but I didn't think you had to be white to be a redneck. But and
Go
cracker,
figure.
hmm
well, you guys know where the origin of that word comes from, right? I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
The slave owners who
hmm
cracked the whips. Well, unless your name is
Yeah.
Indiana
Yeah.
Jones or you're one of the fucking Belmonts from Castlevania, there's no reason to call anybody a cracker today. Anyway,
hmm
we usually get into hillbilly. Okay, hillbilly trailer trash. How do,
God.
white trash? Okay, that's at least specific.
hmm
And possibly even peckerwood.
What?
Okay, I never heard peckerwood be used as a fucking racist slur towards white people. Whatever, let's move on. Before folks recognize the clear slack-jawed yokel pattern of class discrimination here. Yeah, these are all mostly fucking poor Southerners. that
Okay.
these names refer to.
Thanks,
Mhm.
guys.
So, yeah, and being that we're at a top-ranked West Coast university, not only do we all share basic middle-class aspirations, but we can feel pretty safe in the fact that there are no rednecks here to insult.
Wow.
Good.
Fuck
How
you.
what?
Good.
This. Yeah, it's okay.
I could
We're
chamber
we're
much.
we need to stand. We're not here amongst those dirty poor people that we have to go and protect anyway.
Yeah. I bet
Yeah.
how much.
Yeah.
This guy's a fucking socialist and he cares about the poor people, but if they're white, well, fuck you, you're redneck scumbags.
hmm Yeah, I get this weird. Why do I get this impression that he's the kind of person who brags about how he's helping the minorities while navigating his GPS away from places with them? Yeah, I went there.
The 60s era black nationalist terms come out next, usually from one of the all too few black male students in the room. Sometimes a student would yell, honky. This gets a chuckle from the class. After all, it is a funny word to say out loud. Whitey and its weak hip hop variant, wigger, are voiced to more giggles. The black power aggression of Look Out Whitey and White Devils is only a memory of a failed black militancy. What is this guy want fucking riots or something?
Yeah. So I guess Ferguson is his idea of peaceful race relations.
Apparently. Hispanic students find their way to Gringo, just as a student perhaps from Atlanta or Houston offers Yankee. Okay, first off, Yankee has nothing to do with being white.
Oh my god!
Yankee, first off, in Europe, Yankee refers to American, and in the South, Yankee refers to somebody who lives in the North.
The only time I've ever heard that used like a slur, like ever, was from the Russian girl from Captain Planet calling Wheeler a Yankee. Yeah.
Yeah, Yankee is only used to talk about specific people, and it has nothing to do with race. God, this is fucking stupid. Students from further away give their own regional variant insult for white imperialists and tourists, such as Heol. I don't know. Heoli? I don't know how to pronounce that. From this, we learn that race is defined by place and where you are. White matters.
So apparently, according to them, you can probably be a different religion and be a different race, right? It's where you're from, not just what color your skin is. But I thought that the color of your skin was your race.
This isn't even
that's
getting
just
into
weird.
This isn't even getting into race. This is getting into like nationality, which is completely different. It is either a sign. It is either a sign of their ongoing potency or proof of the decline in the category of ethnicity, but the old racial slurs for Italians, Irish, Greek, Jewish, Catholic, Germans, Polish, etc. never get spoken aloud. Yeah, it depends on who you ask. In this silence, because these groups are or are not white, maybe these kids have never heard someone use the word Dago or Wop or Mick before. Ask Matt if he's heard the word Mick before. Anyway, apart from that, Jewish movie guy in The Godfather, or Sean Connery in The Untouchables.
God.
Leave it to a wop to bring a knife to a gunfight. That's one of the most classic lines from that movie. and actually, my mother's side of the family is very Italian, and my grandmother is full Italian, and she'll tell you all too well that Dago and Wop were commonly used back in the day. Because there was a time where Italians and Irishmen were very much treated like shit. And Irish people were, for the most part, they weren't even treated as white people in the early, during the early times of major immigration. So, yeah, those words were used at one point. Anyway.
Goddamn potato eaters.
The point of this sanctioned spewing of hate speech is that none of these words can hurt me, because I am an individual. I can choose not to be offended. White racial slurs are not common in our colorblind age because they don't work on people who possess white privilege.
Really?
So not being offended and having thicker skin, no pun intended, having thicker skin apparently is a form of white privilege. When they do work, like redneck or cracker, it's a matter of class politics.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I'm just not a dirty poor person. So redneck doesn't offend me.
So if you're not offended, then it's white privilege. If you are offended, it's class politics.
Mm-hmm.
God, fuck this guy.
Wonderful.
But rich white men enjoy the invisible power of being just people. Normal, basic humanity. Everyone else gets some version of discrimination. Well, considering you were just earlier talking about how all these fucking rednecks and hillbillies, poor white people, fuck them.
And really,
Rich,
so dude, you work at a university. You're probably the most privileged person in that entire room. Get over yourself. You only work like what? Yeah. Like 8 months out of the year, get a fat paycheck pension, hope that they have to actually work. Get over yourself. You might as well be a Koch brother from where I stand.
Not to mention, he's part of a union and most likely could never be fired, even if he rapes half the kids in the room.
Pretty much. Yeah, tenure's a bitch like that.
So who decided? So who categorized the entire human race? And was like, okay, by default, if you're white and rich, you're the effing prototype for humanity, and then everyone else is just sort of a flawed copy. I want to find out where that was.
Another bit of. Oh, and not just that, but let's also look back a little bit. I'm sure he also no doubt whines about Eurocentrism or whatever in history. Well, unless I'm mistaken, he's a part of the same institution that perpetuated that to begin with. So, lack of self-awareness and hypocrisy much?
Absolutely. Let's move on. The non-white racist slurs hurt because they both smear with dirt and deny human diversity. They reduce all members of a race to the same hated and debased categorization. Your skin and your blood and body are all that matters, the words say, and I hate you for it. Oh, so the other words
you mean
don't?
Like he was just saying with classism, like with redneck and honky and the other fun words? But that doesn't count because privilege, am I right?
That doesn't count because it only applies to poor people. What he's saying here is there is no word specifically just for white people, except we just gave those examples, like cracker and honky and whitey.
Yeah, exactly.
Those particular words had nothing to do with class. Those were specifically skin related.
Well, that's what I meant. Basically, the old, racism is bad. Well, except when it's directed at the evil white oppressors.
Yeah. And then he comes around and says, well, I choose not to be offended, therefore privilege. But apparently minorities and people of color, they can't choose to not be offended. Here is the problem with people like this. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. The fucking Ku Klux Klan ought to be taking notes, because you're never going to get more racist than people like this, who basically say that people of color and minorities, they just can't handle. They just can't handle people using words. They can't just ignore it. They can't just, have thicker skin. They need to be protected and coddled.
I think it was Hawkeye in one of his Google Plus feeds who said, methinks I've never heard of the self-racism of low expectations.
Absolutely. Anyway, this is about when I run out of time and have to end class. As I am unplugging, a few of those white kids creep up and ask, so what should we do? If we want to be more than just not racist, if we want to actually be anti-racist, then how should we act? how do we deal with the burden of the privilege we do not earn? This is exactly the kind of fucking problem with this kind of bullshit line of thinking. You have kids thinking that they're guilty of something simply for being born.
But yeah, see, that's totally different from the Catholic Church's original sin, because, well, no, actually it is different, because it's even worse.
Especially kids at this time of their life, when the
Mhm.
world is supposed to be their oyster, and they're supposed to try and better themselves, and you have kids who are now essentially damaged mentally, because now they think, well, they're evil oppressors who are the cause of everybody's misfortune.
Yeah.
Because some douchebag in a suit, a white guy, told them so.
Grief, it reminds me of that one video I saw, like, or rather, I didn't bear to watch because I was afraid to. It was basically a white protester telling a black cop, well, you don't understand racism.
And here's
you just
where
can't make this stuff up.
And here's where this guy's irresponsibility gets even worse. Now I gotta get to another class halfway across campus, so I don't have time to tell them their so-called liberal guilt is not the answer, and that empathy and solidarity are. Oh good, so you just leave them with their guilt. I don't have time to explain that learning to share anger at injustice is the start of a common conversation, and that they can learn how to recognize where privilege resides in their own lives by reading about and listening to experiences of others who do not have it. I gotta run, so I just say to them, it's a long argument and an endless series of principled choices, but the short version is simply, don't be a douchebag.
Classy.
Well, good start! Don't be a douchebag! Don't do this fucking lesson.
Yeah.
Don't
damage
damage
these
fucking
what you
kids.
preach while you're at it. Indeed. I mean, it's like the Catholic Church. I swear, but you see, that's different. Because it's better, because reasons and stuff. Yeah, no, seriously, fuck those guys. Yes.
And now we move on to the next section, a useless sexist tool. This may sound like shallow, even flip advice, but it's a hard-won and well-tested insight using the multicultural classroom as a laboratory. It came to me a few years back at the end of the standard exercise in class. What about douchebag? I asked the students experimentally. Have any of you ever called one black or brown or Asian a douchebag? How about a women or gay folks? Yes, I have. Many times.
Absolutely. In fact, I remember this one. What was that? It was a video by some guy called like Your Favorite Martian or some animated music video from a popular YouTuber. And I remember that the video title was called, I think it was like something like Mr. Douchebag. The kicker, the guy who was the douchebag was black. Oh, snap.
I've called people douchebag many times. Not just white people. I've called many people douchebags. Fuck it, I already said I'm going to swear like a sailor. I've called people cunts, and not just women.
Mm-hmm.
So...
I've called people...
I mean, Jesus Christ. Oh, wait, that's atheist privilege. I'm sorry.
Yeah, atheist privilege, religious privilege, agnostic privilege, everything privilege.
But anyway, the students had no recognizable response to the initial suggestion, because it's a stupid fucking suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
But with each refining question, ever call a poor person a douchebag? Yes. Their widening eyes become knowing nods. Nods became spoken agreement, and the scattered yes gathered into a room of collectively blown minds. Why are their minds blown?
Because they realize they're having to pay God knows how much tuition for this bullshit.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
Jeez.
Not to mention, you're going to basically be in debt for most of your adult life, and this is what you blow it on?
Yeah, true that. Oh, if only I could pretend earn a rich salary like that, work half the year, get all those vacations and luxuries and fun crap. Reminds me of another guy I know, who he's a university professor like this, has been working in the entertainment industry for like 10 years, is like about my age, 26. And yeah, basically he like works, and I think he's a film cinematographer or some crap. And I remember seeing this journal of his bitching about how he feels internally like feminine a woman despite having a huge penis. No, seriously, I'm not making this up. And I'm trying to be nice to him, just to be a cool guy and all, but in my head I'm thinking, like, wow, first world problems much? And for me, that says a lot. Like, seriously.
Alright, and then he says, including mine. Yes, it turns out only rich, white, heterosexist men are douchebags. No, because you're, yeah, I guess that does apply to you, huh?
Oh. I mean, I always thought douchebag was just another way of saying jerk or asshole or person who is a douchewad, or I mean, not douchewad, but
Well,
basically someone who is mean or inconsiderate.
yeah, douchebag generally refers to somebody who is just an asshole. It's just kind of another way of saying you're an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
So why had none of us recognized this before? Because it's not a fucking thing. Why did this slur actually work? It doesn't. What does the human douchebag really look like? You. Why do we call him that? And what do we hate about the douchebag? Because they're fucking assholes, like you.
In his case, my advice, the professor saying this, avoid the mirror. Just saying.
The douchebag is someone overwhelmingly white, rich,
Not just
heterosexual
white,
males.
overwhelmingly white.
Yeah, apparently so white they fucking glow in the dark.
So are we talking like? So like it. So just like. Does that mean like somebody from Britain or Ireland who's fucking pasty white? Does that make them a bigger douchebag according to this guy?
Apparently, well, I turn red in the summer, so I guess I'm no longer a douchebag.
Oh!
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so is Matt with us?
No.
If so, well then you hear that, Matt? Apparently you're a super douchebag, according to this asshole. But, totally not racist, because reasons and privilege and, stuff.
By the way, he then goes on to say, this douchebag is someone overwhelmingly white, rich, heterosexual males who insist upon, nay, demands his white privilege in every possible set and setting. The douchebag is equally douchey. That's an adjectival version of the term, in public and in private. He is a douchebag waiting in line for coffee as well as in the bedroom. Oh, so hipsters. So you.
Yeah, that makes
You, Mr.
Oh, yeah, hipsters.
Cohen.
That actually makes a lot of good sense.
You are a douchebag. There are plausible objections to douchebag. It feels like an overused insult. So earlier you were saying nobody uses it, but now you're saying it's overused. You inconsistent douchebag.
But that's count because consistency is apparently white privilege, am I right?
And its origins lie on the male insult culture that identifies women's bodies as an object of contempt. Fuck you, you lying sack of shit. But even as such...
yes, trying to make it sound like a pickup artist community thing. Yeah, please. Brother.
But even as such, it is an anecdotal monument to male blindness. And an actual douchebag isn't feminine, it's quite literally a useless sexist tool. It's alienated from women. So then what's the fucking problem? Anyway. And with that particular understanding, I believe the term douchebag is a white racist slur we have all been waiting for.
And by we, you mean you, so you can describe your own self-loathing.
Yeah, pretty much. We have only to realize this, for it has been there all along. No, it hasn't. In fact, it is white privilege itself that has blinded us to the true nature of the douchebag's identity. No, it's the fact that nobody's ever fucking used the word that way. White privilege has nothing to fucking do with it. Black people never used it as a term to mean white people, so clearly their white privilege is showing.
I remember using it like 10 years ago.
No, it's because they've been blinded by the white oppression. That's why they haven't used it.
The overwhelmingly white. Not just white, overwhelmingly.
Yeah, just like, it's just like how atheist children, they're not, they're just being blinded by Lucifer's influence. Yeah. So again, folks, social justice wars, tell me how this isn't religion and stuff again. Seriously, I didn't become an atheist to have more of this bogosity. freaks.
In the same way that white heterosexist males are thought of an unmarked category, regular people, the douchebag has, at least until now, been similarly unmarked. Fuck off. If you've been paying attention within the last 10 years, you know that's not true. We wouldn't be having this fucking discussion about social justice warriors if that was the case. It's insult.
It also begs the question, so they're privileged, this stuff does... They're privileged, white people are privileged, yada, 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 but the fact that he is able to step up onto that podium with public money and make this conversation and stuff, I mean, doesn't that kind of infer the opposite of that? I mean, if it were really true that they were being oppressed, why is it that he's even able to talk about that stuff at all and not fired past tenure even for even bringing it up? I mean, it's like, bro, do you even self-awareness? Seriously, what the hell?
Anyway, it's insult that refers to ordinary men who happen to be white. Whiteness's inability to see whiteness has so far blinded us all to implications of the douchebag, but no longer. Oh no, whiteness knows whiteness, trust me. We wouldn't be having this conversation if that was the fucking case.
Oh lordy, ain't that the truth?
The precise race, class, and gender position of the douchebag marks this identity as a specific subset of the asshole. Another identity on the rise in the 21st century, the asshole, as brilliantly defined by some douchebag whose name I can't pronounce, Ta-Nehisi Coates? I don't know. Is someone who insists that all social encounters occur on their terms, as in, hey, that person over there with the George class is with the Google Glass is an asshole. Glasshole, get it? Fuck off. Your pun wasn't funny. And no, that's not what defines an asshole. An asshole is basically another term for jerk. Unless you're going to try and redefine the word jerk.
Really? So he's... Oh, wait. So, yeah, he actually does acknowledge... Oh, well, yeah, it comes from the word... It's like the word asshole. And no, it's just a general insult for someone who is acting in a way that you don't like.
Team America...
insufferable.
Team America
so he does know
World
this.
Police kind of put it perfectly. In this world, there are three types of people. Dicks, pussies, and assholes. You have dicks who love to fuck with pussies, and you have assholes that shit all over everyone.
Ah!
Well, anyone can be an asshole, though. No, fuck you. Fuck you, Mr. Article. You just tried to say that asshole can only apply to rich people, and now you're saying anybody can be an asshole. Though the douchebag is...
Okay, well then what's this talk of privilege then? About how having money, etc. It's like...
well, anyone can be an asshole, though.
How does that work?
Well, anyone can be an asshole, though. The douchebag is always a white guy. Fuck you,
no, it is not, as we've established.
And so much more than that, the douchebag is the demanding 1%.
Which you are a part of, okay?
And the far more numerous class of white heterosexist men who ape and aspire to be them. Oh god, this guy.
Oh god.
This fucking guy. Wall Street guys are douchebags, to be sure.
Much? No one likes a sore loser, bro. No one likes a sore loser.
Wall Street guys are douchebags, to be sure, but so is anyone looking to cash in on his own white male privilege. Fuck you.
Yes, said the guy selling it off and talking about it as a talking point at a public university and getting a paycheck talking about it. You hypocrite.
A white guy using his white privilege to make money. This narrowness of categorization, perhaps unique in the history of America's rich history of racial and sexual slurs, is what makes the word douchebag such a potentially useful political tool. Fuck you, you're a douchebag. There is a history of the douchebag as a white racial slur. No, there isn't.
What?
Stretching from when the word was first flung across a D&D game in 1982's E.T., to the recent and all too premature assessment by Gawker and Jezebel that the term has jumped the shark. Okay, where do I fucking begin?
Yeah. First off, citation needed.
You're using a movie as evidence?
Really?
I didn't
Yeah.
realize this article was written by Adam Kokesh.
Oh, oh,
But,
oh,
but
burn.
seriously, people use the term douchebag to describe loads of people, not just white guys. And secondly, Gawker and Jezebel said that the term jumped the shark. Okay, so you're saying that the term is overused, but then nobody uses it, and then it's overused again and jumped the shark. Make up your fucking mind.
And the next part is of that article is even more fun. In the rest of that paragraph. Oh my god. Really? Like mansplainer? Really?
Before,
Really?
yeah. Before the douchebag, there was a suburban collar-popping preppy and the urban yuppie. Now there is the frat boy. Frat boys have been around forever.
No kidding. They
The
come from Greek
mansplainer.
times, for Christ's sake.
The mansplainer, a term you fucking made up.
Oh god.
The pickup artist, the dude, the bro, and most of the men in Las Vegas. Fuck you. But really, they are all just douchebags. No, you're a douchebag. So it turns out that the term douchebag is a great deal more, and a great deal more precise, no it isn't, than what Dan Harmon considers merely a more potent way of calling someone a jerk. Fuck you, he's right.
No duh.
Adam Levine, like Ryan Lochte before him, is so commonly labeled a douchebag in social media that in a recent GQ celebrity profile he offered up his own multi-part definition of the douchebag, coupled by a point-by-point rebuttal as to why he should not be counted as amongst the category he so defined. This ought to be good. Of course, playing douchebag, not a douchebag, is one of social media's most favorite games, so let's try it out with our new definition based on white privilege.
Oh,
Gordon, Greed is Good Gecko, is Lord High douchebag, and Charlie Sheen is his firstborn and crown prince douchebag. There are billionaire CEO douchebags like Larry Ellison and Donald Trump, and wage slave douchebags who work as lifeguards, bartenders, and sporting goods stores, but aspire to be billionaires. Tech, finance, and consulting douchebags predominate, but there are also high concentrations of douchebags in real estate, mid-level management, fitness, video games, and television entertainment. So basically, anybody you don't fucking like.
Really? Fitness? Let me guess. Anyone who lifts, according to him, is a douchebag. The ironic thing is, I know bodybuilders who I would wager are probably smarter than his entire class. For real.
Here's the thing, though. Remember, according to him, this only applies to the white members of that. So you're completely ignoring anybody who does any of those jobs who is a person of color, who is a minority.
Oh, but you see, they don't count because but you see, they don't really exist. There are sock accounts and stuff.
And again, way to sell minorities short. Are you trying to tell me that minorities don't try to become millionaires? That they don't try to become, owners of businesses?
Mm-hmm.
Or that it's somehow beyond their capabilities?
If so, I'm pretty sure that makes him the god king of douchebags. To put it mildly. It's like an aristocrat said. It's like an aristocrat said before he kind of lost it. It's like, these social disorders. They're the most racist people you'll ever meet. They're the most homophobic people you'll ever meet. They're the most bigoted people you'll ever meet.
That's why he said the Klan ought to be fucking calling them for advice.
True that. Good grief, man! The Klan, the Klan wishes they were this efficient. God.
Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan are both douchebags, which is part of why they lost. They lost because they were white? Is he actually trying to say that they lost the election because people voted for Obama because he's black?
But then he says Joe Biden and Bill de Blasio are not douchebags, which is part of why they won. Okay, first
they're rich and white!
Oh, but they don't count because, you see, they agree with him and want to support his particular brand of cronyism and his little Gulf Coast salary. So, no privilege. Yeah. Again, sounds like a church all over again. Oh, yeah, you're not... Yes, but you do not sin, you see, because you... Or in good grace with God, Reed pays my salary, so you are very good. And sincere apologies to any Roman Catholics and Italians I may have offended. Kinda, I guess, whatever. Yeah, I don't do a good Pope impression. Jeez.
Wall Street and Wolf of Wall Street are the best movies about the douchebag. Stephen Colbert, in his entitled, uninformed, self-promoting, and colorblind persona, is its most thorough parody. Fox News offers us the spectacle of an entire television network composed of douchebags pushing a douchebag's worldview. So basically, if you don't agree with me, you're a douchebag. If you do, you're cool and you are not privileged. Fuck you.
Pretty much. Pro sports? Oh, no.
Pro
Grief.
sports is a dense field of douchebaggery. Lance Armstrong, Roger Goodell, the Washington Redskins, and Cristiano Ronaldo are douchebags. But Leo Messi and Peace and FC Barcelona are not. Why? Because you said so?
Grief. Yeah,
Sam,
you gotta love. Yeah, you
Sam,
gotta love this kind of Sam Spade. Go on. Yeah.
Sam Spade is not a douchebag, but John Wayne certainly was. Fuck you for talking bad about the fucking Duke.
True that.
Captain Kirk is a douchebag, but Spock, Picard, and Riker are not, though Riker sometimes wants to be.
Really? Seriously? No way he can be serious with that line. I'm sorry, but he... Oh, God.
Peter Parker is not a douchebag, neither is Clark Kent. Okay, hold the fuck up. You said douchebag is a white racial slur. Peter Parker is white. Clark Kent is white. If it's a racial slur, it has to apply to race. No.
Clark Kent is Kryptonian.
But he has
Close
white
enough.
skin. To them, that counts.
Yeah, close enough.
But somehow Bruce Wayne and Tony Stark sure are. Okay. And Cyclops is a douchebag, but Magneto is not.
What?
But Cyclops is blind. That's being ableist.
For
call him a
fuck's sake.
douchebag.
Okay, first off, the whole thing is a racial slur is supposed to apply to a race. You're saying these guys are not douchebags, even though they're white. So it's not a white racial slur.
Yeah, despite him going out of his way to say in this title of the very article, douchebag, is it the white racial slur we've been waiting for? Well, apparently not. If otherwise, you wouldn't be exempting people from it left and right. Now, wouldn't you, OP?
Basically, all you want is a slur for white people that
he doesn't
have six-figure incomes and vote Republican.
Yeah, basically
all you want.
Yeah, it's for people who don't agree with him.
Hal
It's
Jordan
basically a tar and feather word.
Hal Jordan is a douchebag, but Captain America, perhaps surprisingly, is not. First off, these are all fucking comic book characters, so I don't even know why you're trying to use them as your fucking point. But
No kidding.
And if we needed further proof that the douchebag is a social construction and a set of personal choices rather than some form of white male essentialism, I give you the paradox of Michael J. Fox. Really? Alex P. Keaton is a douchebag.
What?
But Marty McFly is not.
Non sequitur much? Bro, do you even logic? Seriously, what the hell? Oh, God. And this next section, really? Well, at least he restrained himself and didn't use the word rapist, so I guess there's always that. Well,
beware the killer douchebag.
Oh, God.
This is not all fun and games.
Lol.
This is a fucking game. Douchebags can be deadly, especially to women, and learning to recognize them and avoid them can be a word of advice to save a life. Oh, that's another thing. You're saying that douchebag is a racial slur, but it is not a racial slur if it only applies to one half of the race, and not even the full half.
Yeah, so, I mean, last I checked, the N-word applies, for example, to all black people, not just males, or not just females. I mean,
and
that's what makes it a racial slur,
slurs
by
for
definition.
Hispanics. Racial slurs for Hispanics refer to all Hispanics. Racial slurs for Asians apply to all Asians.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a pick and choose kind of thing. You're saying that this is a new racial slur, but it's not a racial slur if you get to pick and choose who it applies to.
Indeed, just like it's not a principle if you get to just exempt willy-nilly. That's not what a principle is. Sorry.
But anyway, he
Not
then
sorry.
says, at their most extreme, the douchebag can be someone like Patrick Bateman from American Psycho, a psychotic killer who uses a mask of a white male wealth and privilege to seduce victims and elude detection. But this type does not just exist in fiction. Well, then why did you use fiction to start us off? On college campuses, white, i.e. segregated frats, are alcohol poisoning, drug abuse, sexual assault, and white male privilege. First off, that fucking statistic about being raped on fucking college campuses has been horribly exaggerated. Yes.
Not only that, but I consider that a bit of an admission of failure. As heavily policed as those things are, to the point where they will annihilate someone's life, Duke lacrosse anyone over it. But if that's true that the rape statistics there are even worse, doesn't that imply that they are doing an utterly rubbish job at preventing rape? Just saying.
And if they cannot be dismantled or removed from university campuses, then they should be strenuously avoided by all but campus police and take back the night marches. There have been dangerous douchebags throughout history. Thomas Jefferson, when he slipped into the slave quarters at night for his dose of brown sugar, became our nation's douchebag founding father.
Classy. Really? Brown sugar? Really?
Yeah, first off, about Thomas Jefferson, he was probably one of the few back then who was actually the most outspoken about freeing the slaves. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. The Southern plantation aristocracy were probably the most powerful douchebags in American history, and the Civil War was fought to suppress them and win human rights for the enslaved, unless you live in Maryland, Kentucky, you know.
Which I actually do live in Maryland, but, you know. And not only that, but, okay, first off, he also seems to forget something kind of important. That slavery was defended by the very government he no doubt worships and licks the dick of time and time again. Fugitive Slave Acts, douchebag. Look that shit up.
Well, not only that, but slavery was also fucking heavily provided for by fellow Africans. Africans were the ones kidnapping their fellow Africans to give to white people. And not only that, but if you try to... The Civil War is a very complex war. There's a lot more to it than just slavery.
It reminds me of a bit Shane said way back when, like, anyone who says that the Civil War was about just one thing or had one simple cause is automatically wrong. It was that big and complex.
There is so much more to the Civil War than just this one issue. And to simplify that bloodbath for your own bullshit agenda is just completely wrong.
As Shane would say, he's shitting on the graves of people who really were enslaved. But, as opposed to his mamby-pamby, well, wage slavery, her darn bullshit. Bitch, please.
And then he says, over the next century and a half, these defeated douchebags transform themselves into the redneck douchebag coalition that runs the Republican Party today. So yeah, this was all about Republicans.
Dixiecrats. Oh, but those didn't exist, am I right? Oh, that
well,
was
not
just
only
a conspiracy.
That, but you fucking praised the fucking North for defeating the evil slave owner South. Well, who was in charge at the time? Oh yeah, a Republican.
Yeah, but that doesn't count. Pay no mind to that,
revisionism much?
Yeah. Or at least avoiding it. Avoiding those little inconvenient details that I'm sure he ever so accidentally, no he didn't, leave out.
Anyway, now it's time for some emotional need. The medical history of the douchebag. But there is a history beyond this history, a medical history, that provides the unlikely background for this character type. In surveying the medical literature, one finds that the douchebag, a vulcanized rubber appliance like a hot water bottle attached to a rubber tube or hose, had a wide range of useful applications for doctors and nurses. The fuck are you talking about?
Not only that, but, I mean, so he talks about, and early in this article, he bitched about how, oh, it reduces you to an object, racial slurs change you to an object, they say, oh, you're not, or this or that, and dehumanize. But isn't that exactly what he's doing here?
Yeah, but it doesn't count.
Oh, of
White
course,
men.
because, privilege.
Straight white men.
Even though the examples he used kept picking and choosing, but, whatever.
So then he gets into the medical history of the term douchebag and then tries to go on and say that basically it's a sexist term, which, you're the one that brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And intro into the conversation, so pretty sure wouldn't that make the OP a sexist?
Yeah,
Just
basically.
saying.
Basically. Anyway, then he said, and then the conclusion, don't be a douchebag. And he says, well, what do you do if you care about somebody who's a douchebag? And he goes, use the Schmidt rule, which is whenever Schmidt, I guess, in the show.
This is before the quip about forced re-education.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah, he said other than forced re-education, because, that doesn't make you a douchebag at all.
Yeah.
But he says you should follow the Schmidt rule. And according to this rule, apparently Schmidt is a character on the show New Girl, and every time he would demand his first world privilege, the roommates would cry foul and order him to stuff cash in the douche drawer, or in the douche jar,
yeah.
Thereby collecting a punitive tax on the rich and douchey that can be used to subsidize the house beer fund. Perhaps there is a lesson for social policy in this gag. Fuck you.
Really? So, in other words, tax everyone who's richer than him and or disagrees with him.
Yeah, so all of this about a white racial slur, which can't be a fucking racial slur because it only applies to a specific subset of white people and not all white people, but it's just another fucking long tax the rich spew.
Ugh, God.
Of course there is, he says. Our policy attack on social douchebaggery can begin with taxes on yachts, segways, private planes, and vacation homes. Fuck this guy! Are you a single dude with more than one car? Pay up. Do you ride to work on a Google bus? You should pay taxes to San Francisco for the roads and bus stops your privatized mass transportation relies on. Fuck you! Best of all, we can stop calling the threat. We could stop calling the threat of raising the taxes on the rich class warfare and just start calling it the douchebag tax. That's a ballot measure we can all get behind. No, that's a ballot measure you and douchebags who think like you can get behind.
Grief. Yeah. So figures just based so, in other words, more, well, if you disagree with me, then fuck you, I'll throw you under the bus and tax you, and I'll joke about you be going into a forced education camp. Yeah, tell me how that doesn't make you a fucking sociopath. Like, for real.
Of course, some of you are thinking, do we really need a white racial slur? No, I'm thinking, when will you shut the fuck up?
Yeah, and I'm thinking...
Yeah, go ahead.
Crap, lost it. Yeah, go ahead.
You said yeah.
I was actually thinking something like, okay, why is it that he focuses on equality and not quality, rather than focusing on, okay, let's bring everyone down to the same equal shitty level.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that.
On getting everyone back up.
That's funny that
it reminds me of a bit Shane said way back when, real quick. Equality is nothing without quality. If I make $20K a year and he makes $100,000 a year, which you can be sure his overprivileged ass, yeah, I went there, does, then we're both better off if we both make $10K a year. Equality just ain't all it's cracked up to be, unless you have quality to go with it. Go on.
But it's funny that you mention that, because he then goes on to say, God damn it, I lost my place. Okay, here we go. Is not the vision of equality that we should aspire toward, towards a world without the N-word or douchebag? Okay, I have a problem with this sentiment. You're talking about racial slurs and everything and how, oh, it's good to have a racial slur, but then you bring up another racial slur and you're like, the N-word. It's got to be tamed.
Yeah.
Not even consistent. Maybe it
Because
is. But as everyone who is not colorblind can plainly see, that is not yet that day.
And he is, of course, making it that much harder to reach by further they're kicking people around. Go reap what you sow, asshole.
Further dividing people only sets race relations that much more back. That's the fact.
Yeah.
And people like this, that is exactly what they do. For the time being, this is the vernacular critique of whiteness that we've always needed. And it's been right before our eyes all along. No, it fucking hasn't. And if this is your big solution to all the fucking world's problems when it comes to race relations, is to make up a term for a specific subset of white people, then get back to the fucking drawing board, you hack.
No kidding. I mean, he kind of reminds me. I wager he'd be one of those. I'm just gonna call them kids. In that little captioned photo, pretty much explaining his little position here. Basically, it was that one, with policemen beating the crap out of college students and pointing to the protesters saying, "Wants more government." Pointing to the police officers, "More government." Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, of course, with him no doubt crying, "Oh, well, I don't know what's going on. How did this happen? Oh, it must be my privilege." Or, "Oh, maybe we didn't tax the rich hard enough." Yeah, no, you're a moron. Seriously.
Anyway, he goes on to say, the term douchebag, again used as we already use it, has the power to name white ruling class power and white sexist privilege as noxious, selfish, toxic, and foolish, and above all, dangerous.
You mean like the undue influence you no doubt put on your students during this crap that no doubt accompanied, which is no doubt the cause of them agreeing with you, you insufferable cunt?
Since the coming of color blindness as the official ideology of neoliberal racism, really?
What does that even mean?
Neoliberal racism? First off, classic liberalism would not condone the bullshit you do. So if anybody is the neoliberal, it's you, asshole. We have needed...
Second off, I hear all these zombie terms like, neoliberal, it's like, dude, English, you speak it? That makes no sense. Stop with the zombie terms and the fog speak.
I think he's making words up as he goes.
Yeah, that much was obvious from the start of the article, but I think it just needs to be stated again, just to be sure, and to draw the point home,
We have needed a precise term with which to recognize and ridicule white privilege when we see it. So we hear it, holy shit. So we hear it is.
Even English?
Is that even English? He literally, okay, breaking the fourth wall for a minute. He actually wrote on the article, so we hear it is. That is not English.
So here it is?
Yeah, not even, so we hear it is. That is the actual sentence used in the final paragraph.
Yeah.
Use it and give the douchebags the thing they are always imagining anyways, reverse discrimination.
Because as we all know, two wrongs always make a right. No, it doesn't.
I have my face in my hands. The term
there isn't enough
reverse
face
discrimination
in the universe.
The term reverse discrimination is a bullshit made up term by people who are racist and don't want to admit it. You cannot have reverse discrimination. There is only discrimination.
Indeed.
This is the same kind of bullshit mentality that so many social justice warriors love to fucking promote. This idea that somehow something only applies to a specific group or subgroups and does not apply to all. Words have fucking meaning, people. You don't just get to change the definition just because you fucking want to. The dictionary is fucking correct. I've had people who have told me straight up, that, oh, well, racism simply means bigotry plus power. So it can't apply to white people because white people are the predominant race.
Of course, it also fails to take into account individualism as well, even if you go into that cute little definition. Okay, so you're telling me So you're telling me a black cop beating the shit out of a poor white kid actually is the unprivileged one in that scenario? I mean, really? Yeah, no.
Oprah
Fuck these
fucking
guys.
Winfrey.
Best two-word rebuttal ever.
Oprah fucking Winfrey. Tell me she has fucking white privilege. No, they'll just say that she's a fucking puppet from white people or some stupid bullshit. But anyway, before we drag this on any fucking further, because the article's actually done. Yeah, this guy, history revisionism, inconsistent bullshit, setting race relations back hundreds of years, and just all around fucking stupidity. This guy is my Idiot of the Year nomination. I can't think of anybody else.
Well, yeah, and may he enjoy his new prize.
Ugh.